Right. So, telekinesis. What about learning it? Wow. Like with anything, it's tricky to get into it because you don't know where to start. It's like learning language. If you don't say you want to learn language, you haven't heard before. You heard before, but you don't know the words, you don't understand the sounds, you don't know how the sound make up words, how the words go into sentences, and how to express yourself, how to make sense out of whatever anyone else says. Wow. For that you need to learn a few words, a few sentences, and say them to someone, see how they react, say hello in that language, tell them hola, they know Spanish, they'll say hola, ¿cómo estás? And once you work it out, you communicate, you realize they're greeting you back and they welcome you by asking how are you yourself. Same with telekinesis. At the beginning you have this object in front of you, you know you need to do something, okay, you believe you can do something to influence it, but you don't know what. You're waving hands at it, you just blow at it and it moves, yes, it's real, it moves, yes. So once you get a feeling of something, and that something gets an effect, like because a little bit of wind to move stronger or strong enough to knock a little piece of card that you put in front of yourself, then skepticism could kick in and say, nah, you just successfully winded it. But if you don't despair and tell yourself, okay, I'm getting a sense of the wind now, the air, which is an element that's all around you, it's all air. If you can move that, can you move that strong enough to move something else, you're doing a form of telekinesis, which may be aerokinesis in disguise, but you've got some experience and you working with it. You're doing that again and something happens again, maybe not every time, but every now and again you get it right and something happens, then you're no longer a believer. You know it can be done, you know it works. This time you could realize it looks ridiculous, it doesn't look like a big effort, you know it's a big effort because you spend a long time practicing it and looking ridiculous to yourself, and then move a little bit and show it something. It's wind. Yeah? I've gone that far that I can actually influence that. You go and travel out looking more ridiculous than I am when I'm doing that. I call it an achievement. I don't call it a mastery of anything like telekinesis, but it's a hint. Once you get that hint, you know it. So you step out of being a believer. Think about what could I do to get closer to it, to get more of it, to get a better connection, to get more influence, to get more energy, get better energy, use less energy to get more effort out of it. You're working with it, you're talking about it not as if it's something else, you're talking about it, how do I do it? And then you have those different sensations, different feelings, and you start giving them names, and then you start talking to someone again, and maybe they hear familiar words, but you're giving them a completely different meaning and communication breaks down. But it doesn't mean that your experience being wrong. It simply means you could not express this experience in a way that other people could relate, because they simply never had that kind of experience or never realized that this kind of experience is within their grasp of awareness. I'll be surprised that majority of people done telekinetic action one time in their life or another time in their life, and they just thought, oh, that was odd. Never give it much meaning. You don't know what it is, how you give it meaning. If you start talking to people about it, they ridiculize it, obviously, and they explain it, rationalize it, and you're left with a disbelief. And disbelief is belief is a step in the way forward. Disbelief is a couple steps backwards. You step away from the gate. Belief means you're stepping towards the gate, you just haven't opened yet, so you don't know. Disbelief means you try to open the gate, but someone told you it's never going to open, you believe them, and now you have come to believe that the door doesn't open. So just imagine the door towards your desired goal or ability. Maybe there are various ways around, maybe you need to go left and right and around to get there, or you can get there once you know you can get there, but if you want to believe that counters whatever you want to do. It's simply, you simply tell yourself, no, I can't do it, I won't. It's obviously silly, stupid. Why would you do something that doesn't work? But if a man still believe it doesn't work, it's real enough to stop it from working. Now, if you want it to work, or at least you're willing to try, you have to get rid of the idea that it's not possible, or put it on shelf for a little bit. Otherwise, you could be sitting next to a launch bottle for a rocket ready to start. It's all steaming, ready there. The crew's been all strapped in, all checks done, and you just need to press the button, the ignition button, set it off. But it won't. It just stays there because you think it won't work. You think about everything that could go wrong. What about those people in the cabin? Count has gone to zero. You're just in some sort of perpetual hesitation. Does it mean that we'll never go into space? Does it mean that Earthlings are doomed to walk the Earth and never walk anywhere else? Would it take an extremely brave person to do it? No, it could be an extremely stupid person who just presses any button. But you understand the impact. You're intelligent enough to understand the impact, how big a step forward that would be to do the thing. But you're also intelligent enough to analyze all the things that could go wrong. And at this moment in time, you need to make a decision. Will there be an attempt or not? However it came up to this point. Well, if you did that right at the beginning, you would even build the rocket for exactly the same reasons. Why start such an effort when convince yourself that it's a bad idea. You just won't do it. You'll do something else. Something that you think could be possibly done. So sometimes only people who believe they can do it and have enough intelligence to do it can do it, and well, if there are enough. But since there are a lot of intelligent people in the world, or resourceful people, once they believe they can do it, and tell themselves they don't have to counter-argue every move they do, as long as it's a good idea and you have sort of everything that you could for it, that's the best you can do. The question is, are you willing to commit to the best you can do? The first step would be to build a rocket. At this moment we just still considering everything, you're just putting pieces together and making sure they all work. Once you've done that, there comes the second point where you have to make a decision. Okay, we will launch it for real. Because once you launch, you have to deal with the consequences. Consequences could be real and could be devastating. But it's a chance to do the best effort. What is it that is stopping you? What really is it? Because once you're committed, there's no thinking back. You could turn around, but you'll lose it. So if it's for real, you just go for it and you committing to it until it's gone through, whatever the outcome. And that outcome will be the new next step in your life. Could be a reason for excitement. But if you put enough effort into discouraging yourself, you could be preparing yourself for disappointment, regardless of what it really is that's coming. Might say is fear of the unknown. But that could also translate into fear of life. There is always, you don't know something about something, about anything. If you believe you know everything, then you might be in real danger of getting it wrong. Because there is a difference between certainty and blind conviction. Intuition can tell you what it feels like to go one route or another. There are so many ways to feel safe about it. convince yourself nothing is safe. It's likely, or rather it's bound to be true for you. You convince yourself so the question is, why do you do that? How to overcome that? Why is that difficult in the first place? Why not just let it go? And that's the question I'm asking myself. Is there anything except my own conviction that I cannot let go of something that stopped me from letting go? Or is there really that I have something to work through before I can let it go? And that's a real question that whoever wants to move forward has got to ask oneself. That's where the journey of self-improvement begins. And the outcome is you don't worry about pressing that button. You press because you know it's worthwhile. And that's a step to move from believing to knowing that life is worthwhile. Once you know it's worthwhile, would you hesitate? Or would it be too much effort to move off track, consider it, and then jump back onto the track? No. Once you set yourself onto something, it doesn't even matter when the tracks are there. You still move as you're meant to. And where you're meant to. Because from that moment onward, that's life happening. very well.